Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of 38 and Dating. It's your girl Lori J, your host as always. Follow me on Twitter, on Instagram at Lori, Lorijay, and hit me up and ask me questions. I'm so excited about a new episode of 38 and Dating because it's been a while since I've recorded. And I've missed you guys. I've missed talking about all of the crazy, hilarious, insightful revelations I've had in dating. And to give you an update on me, I'm in a great place in my dating life. I am very, very happy, and the learning continues. So as I continue to learn and dating, I will continue to share. So let's just get into the new episode. All right, this is called Dating and Fertility at 38. And what to know about your fertility in your early 30s that nobody tells you. All right, so that's a long title. I'll figure out what it's going to be and shorten it. But basically, it's talking about dating, being successful, and trying to figure out your fertility needs and wants while you're doing it. So this is a really relevant episode for me because I actually am going through the egg freezing process. And today I had my second cycle of egg retrieval, and I'm home recuperating. So I figured, why not do a podcast now since I have time and I'm not working. I am working, but not in the office. And I figured I'd share all the things I've thought about with fertility and dating with you guys. It's interesting because when you're dating at 38, it's a different game. I never really thought about my fertility in my early 30s or even late 20s or even really mid 30s. Maybe around 36, which I consider a little after mid 30s, I started to think about it. The entire time I was dating my long-term ex, I didn't feel like I wanted kids or marriage. And then after about 8 years of dating, I realized I did. So shift in my perception and what I wanted. And I shared that with my ex. And although we didn't end up continuing the relationship, I knew that that was something I wanted in my future. And what's weird is people don't talk about the different types of women there are as it relates to having a family or not. We always hear about the women who absolutely want to be mothers, have always wanted to be mothers all their lives. My sister is one of those women, and I love her for that. She's always known that she's wanted to be a mom. That just wasn't me. I feel like I, helped raise my siblings, as I've mentioned before, even though one of my siblings was like, what? No, bruh, I did. Check the books. It's more of a mentality in terms of helping my mom out. It was more so that and whatever she needed me to do. But I just have never been one of those women that knew instinctively, like, I want to raise kids. And it's funny because my dad said to me the other day, he said, you would be great at being a mother. And other people have said that to me too. And while I believe them, it's funny because when I think about how my life is set up and how my bank account is set up, I'm like, kids where? Like one day, not today. But as you get older and as I've gotten older, I realize that not today is going to become today pretty soon. By the way and by the virtue of how a woman's biological clock is set up. And it's crazy to me because it's kind of unfortunate, right? It's kind of an intense and immense pressure on my back because of my age versus how I feel. I feel 32. I would say 31, but I honestly feel 32 years old. And I feel like I have so much time ahead of me. But then I see women like Gabrielle Union talking about her fertility struggles, and praise God, she has her daughter, Kavia James, now. She didn't get to carry her, but Kavia is biologically Gabrielle's and Dwayne's baby, and they approached parenthood together and building a family together in a different way, in the way that they had to, probably by virtue of Gabrielle's body and what it was doing and what it was allowing her to do or not allowing her to do. And every woman is different. It's not purely a factor of age in terms of whether you can have kids biologically or not. There's so many factors that are so specific to each individual woman. However, as you get older in life, what we don't talk about is you may be losing time or running out of time if you want to have a child biologically and naturally. Let me say naturally, in terms of carrying the child yourself. Your eggs get older, they become less viable, you're more genetically susceptible to having eggs that have genetic defects. There are a whole host of things. They call it advanced maternal age, AMA, which I just learned the term from somebody at work the other day. I just knew it was a geriatric pregnancy, but I didn't know they actually label your hospital forms and everything AMA for advanced maternal age. So, learning about all that and fertility, I used to feel like if God wanted me to have a child, he would have me have a child naturally. If I'm a husband, we'd be married for a little while, then we'd get pregnant and we'd be all good. I just always assumed that would happen. In my 30s, I never thought that, in my early 30s, I never thought that building a family was completely out of the question. It was all about whether I wanted to or not. And then I hit 35, 36, and by the time 37 rolled around, I realized if you want to have kids one day, that one day has to be sooner than later. And so I started looking into freezing my eggs. And thank God for bloggers like Myleik Teal, who has a podcast about freezing her eggs. And thank God for my friends, my friend Jay, who basically told me about her process and made it a little less scary for me. I used to struggle with, is this God's will or not? Because it's commanding science to do something that maybe my body is not going to do naturally. But then I realized God enabled these doctors to learn how to do this egg freezing technique. So when God sends you a lifeboat or, a helicopter or stones to walk on water with, take them. And when I realized I could freeze my eggs and it was more of a just in case option, an insurance policy, and it would give me a little bit of breathing room to figure out the when, that's what put me over the hump. And I also realized that, it's a medical procedure and you can check to see if your insurance helps cover some of it or all of it. And that also helped because it's very expensive. And when I say expensive, I think it's as cheap as $10,000 for the procedure. And the medication is like $3,000 to $5,000 on top of that. For women who are a little bit older, some places, my place, offered a program where you could do up to 5 cycles for $18,000. So it gives you a little bit of a price break. But the medication is still $3,000 to $5,000 per cycle. And when I heard that, y'all, I freaked out. I was like, what? That's $30,000. That's the price of a car. I can go get me a cute little Camry, maybe a Corolla. I don't know how much these things cost these days because I haven't bought a car in a while. But that's a lot of money. And I started to freak out about how I was going to pay for this. And should I pay for this? And is it financially responsible? Would I have to take out a loan? The answer would have been yes. Fortunately, I did not. And I'm trying not to say because I actually just talked about how it's a very good thing to not say all the time so people can hear what you're truly trying to say. But I was freaked out and I looked into my insurance and realized my insurance was really great and helped with the cost of everything. So I was fortunate. The program I use or the doctor's facilities I use, they actually also create a way for people who cannot afford it to afford it, like military families and things like that. So that made me feel better about the cost of it all. You still have to pay for medications, but that price can drop if your insurance covers some or all of it. So all that to say, don't get freaked out at the cost. I do encourage everybody who's early 30s or later to at least explore or consider the option if you think that maybe one day you want a family of your own. And you don't have to say, yes, I want a family today, or yes, I know for sure I want to be a mom. But just exploring the opportunity and going in and getting your body tested to see what your body is looking like in terms of follicle production, egg production. The follicles are the sacs that the eggs are inside of. And I hope I'm not getting that wrong for all my doctor friends, but that's what they told me. I should know more, but my medical knowledge is loose. I know just enough to keep it tight. Um, so I would encourage everybody, again, this is my PSA to women who are putting off having a family because you're either not sure or you don't think you want one. If there's any remote possibility that you might want to have children one day, I don't think it hurts to at least go get blood work done and an ultrasound done to see what your odds might be of being able to either freeze eggs, do IVF, etc. At least you'll have knowledge. And you don't have to pay for the entire procedure just to get tested. You have to check into your own doctor's practice to see what that's about. But honestly, 30, 31, 32, do it. I have always been driven career-wise. And so I never really stopped to think that I needed to think about family planning because at 32, I was single again and I didn't have any prospects in sight for anyone I wanted to spend my life with. So I just kept working. And then I hit 37 and realized, wow, I really should take this into my own hands and at least see what it's all about. And once I got over that hurdle of, is this God's plan? Is it not? Hell yeah, it's God's plan because God made the doctors informative enough to be able to do this. Once I got to that realization, then I went and I got tested and my numbers looked good and my insurance kicked in and I decided to do it. So I've had one cycle already. This is my first time talking about this publicly, but I so want to share all of my information because a lot of people aren't talking about egg freezing as an option, a backup option, a first option, whatever, but it's a great option to have. And the first cycle, I have 7 eggs stored from. The second cycle, we'll see. They tell me tomorrow. So that's great. My doctor wants me to get to 30 eggs total if possible. He said 20 to 30 total. Because of my age, eggs can become less viable even as they're stored, which I didn't know. So that was news to me. So I thought, oh, I got eggs in the bank. And it's not one egg for one baby you want to have. He suggested having 10 eggs for every one child you want to have. So that way, as you try to fertilize them, if you have to use that option later, then you have 10 eggs to try with. And not all eggs take when they try to fertilize them. So the other thing he mentioned is when you are ready to have a kid, even though you have eggs frozen, try naturally and then see what happens. So I love that, right? Because it doesn't mean that I have to go into my egg storage bank and go retrieve those little suckers. It means try naturally first for a little while, probably 6 months, a little more, 8 months, 9. And then if you're not having any success, he said, come back and we'll talk about how we can possibly use these eggs. So I thought that was a great option. It gives me both. It gives me the natural opportunity to try, and then I have my backup option if the natural method does not work. So I'm all about probabilities and success ratios, and I feel like having both options at my disposal is my best chance for ensuring that I can have at least one child one day. And it's heavy to think about when you're 38 and dating and feeling like you're young, which we are young. Let me be clear, we are young. But you also have to start thinking about, if I'm single right now, then in a year, even if I meet the love of my life this year, in a year I'll be 39. Let's say we date a year, 39 or 40. Then let's say we want to move in together before we get married. That's 40, 41. And then you want to be married and enjoy your marriage for a little bit. That's 42-ish. And then you got to be pregnant for 10 months. That's 43 when you're birthing your first baby. And I try not to think about age so linearly, but it's just, in my head. I don't know how many of y'all feel like you think about age and family planning and when you want to have kids, but it's just been in my head because I'm of that age. And I never thought I'd be the girl that had a biological clock ticking, but hey, that thing starts tick-tocking loud, loudly and clearly as you get older. And I just want to encourage everybody to just look into the option of it if you even have a slither of a feeling that you might want your own kids. I'm very happy I've done it. The recovery process is going a little bit better this time than last time. Last time I just had some uncomfortability and cramping, but that was it. And this podcast, I'm sure, is more so for the women. The guys are probably tuned out by now, like cramping, let's not talk about that. But I do want to encourage all of my sisters to think about it. And if you have any questions, drop me a line. There's a great video on YouTube that I'll post on my website, LoriJ.com. And it's about freezing your eggs and fertility, other means of becoming a mother, all kinds of good stuff that people don't really talk about. And it makes you feel not so alone. It definitely made me feel that way. So if you have any questions, let me know. That's it for this mini episode of 38 and Dating, all about dating and fertility. You know what? I do want to say this last thing. If you're dating someone and you're going through this process, make sure you have a partner who supports you, because it is a hard process. You're injecting yourself with hormones. I did 3 weeks of birth control to suppress the egg production. Then I did like 10 to 14 days of stimulation in terms of the injections themselves in my stomach. And I hate needles, y'all, with a passion. I didn't think I was going to be able to do it. I got all the medication, got everything in my first cycle, and I said, nothing's real until I put this needle in my stomach. So I can still pull out anytime before I put this needle in my stomach, because I didn't know if I was going to be able to. And, it's a lot of hormones you're injecting in yourself. Your estrogen levels go way up. You're pumped with hormones from the birth control and from the injections. And you need someone who's going to be there and be supportive and be a rock for you, whether it's a mate, a friend, a sister, a parent, whomever, but you really do need somebody that you can share this process with, because it can have ups and downs and it can be hard sometimes, but I have a great village around me and so much support. So I'm so thankful for that. And it has made all the difference in this journey. So that's it. All right, you guys, catch me next time on 38 and Dating. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Let me know your thoughts. It's a little bit different. And we're going to go through the journey of dating at 38. And by the way, I had a birthday a few months ago, so I'm 39, but we're going to keep it 38 and Dating. All right, y'all, take care. Bye.